the floor.
Yo, check this out. Yo, somebody after the black op. Support Tornado's new YouTube channel, Beyond the Bridge.
Three, two, one. One, two, one, two.
De-escalate officer control encounter.
So sorry. It's so loud in here, and I think that people really need to hear this. So can we please be quiet just a little bit and have some respect? It's pretty big. Thank you.
That's my bodyguard, Edward Jones. I use Edward Jones.
Boys, what are we doing? Look at that! He's so cute! Gracias! Dude, this is amazing. This is pretty cool.
I'm a whirling dervish, I always twirl on purpose. I'm so surface level, don't you look behind the curtains. I'm nervous like I'm Nelly. Kelly's so evil, he not a person. What would a good one consist of? I'm probably not as perfect. There's Probably not in my bloodline. My faith lies as far as my fathers allow, but truth I control where I land. I choose to be an island. I choose to pick up my plans till they all seem folly, but I guess I change that present to the past tense. Like Paps was a bastard, flabbergasted. Pap has a running pattern, polish splattered, nothing matters. Turns out love an ugly dancer. I am. Generation violence, part of the nation. Not hiding from it all till it all become blinding. Fly across the sky till the blue turn violent. Mock the passage of the days. Days all ever I'm in. Don't feel free to chime in, rather keep you tuned out. Stick with flat drink sip instead of fizzled out routes. I don't need to go your way. You stand and make that face. Life is made of serious work. I don't need to go your way. You stand and make that face. Life is made of serious work. This is my bigger bowl of self-belief. No need for boating schools to tell me peace is found. I find my own ground, crash my own reef. No beef, all peace. Nah, that bang bang, ski ski. You show the counts down. Clown caught up in his own heat. It's a lesson where you learn to shut the demons out. Nah, I'm kidding, you ain't no demon. You my homie, but I'm tweaking, bro. When you mix this and think you got business talking about my track, shut up, bitch. Sorry, I guess I went too far with that one. It's easy to blame the homie for my shortcomings. Here to working for different outcomes. It's all love, but it need to be self-love. Need to do this for me, not for anyone else,
No, but when he starts
not for
to-
your approval or the words of the rest of, but to feel peace when I walk in the rest.
Guys, go
It
forward.
should be mine. Now I know it's mine alone.
Like this, and then they started leaning forward.
I don't need to go your way. You stand and make that face. Life is made of serious work.
Yeah.
I don't need to go your way. You stand and make that face. Life is made of serious work.
Sit down, sit down.
Other hand. That one. That hand. Hey, come here.
What about? What about?
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Nonito Donaire.
Could this be tonight?
Oh, I did it wrong again.
Yep, you did. But good morning, everybody. War Wednesday, man. I just want to say what's up to everybody out there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, part in the world, man. So I got that pretty good. So War Wednesday today, we were actually inspired by
Yesterday's
Swift 718, who gave that the question, about promoters
Do
and
we
stuff
have
like
the
that.
answer?
Do we have the answer? But first, let's talk about say what's up to everybody first. So
Do you want me to read it? Jose Diaz, Sports and Tunes. Oh, he hasn't been here for quite some
Right.
time. Jay Gibson, Swift 718 Boxing Lounge, Ken Viper. You guys, like, we are, so War Wednesday is always about, like, pretty much not anything specific unless something pisses us off, but it's about like free smoke. Like, anything goes on War Wednesday. And it's right now, like what Swift 718 was talking about yesterday was about promoters. And I
Yes.
think this has been like a topic of discussion of, especially about the Errol Spence versus the Terrence Bud Crawford, one being a free agent, one used to be at top rank. The quote unquote, you have to go across the street. These conversations, and we've had certain, content creators and some people who are just very, very extremely vocal about their not just dislike about PBC, but their actual like hate of PBC. And
Yes.
there's pointing fingers, and I don't like pointing fingers in the game because you know the thing is that everybody in the game has done certain things, and they pretty much all have the same game plan,
Tactics. Yeah.
if you would say. Yeah. So because of that, like, we kind of want to just put it out in the open. Let's see, like, let's talk about different situations promoters have been in. My biggest issue, and I've said this before, was the BS of Regis Progress and Ramirez. And listen, I have nothing against. And so let's do a disclaimer every single time, right? My disclaimer is we're friends with Ramirez. There's no shade, no hate about this, but it's just how the business has been working that people do tend, well, promoters do tend both sides, every side. I'm not going to just say both sides because then you also have Matchroom, right?
Right.
They tend to keep their fighters within their organization and why. So we're going to actually drop the link for this so then you guys could come up and again, like,
Well, let's explain first, though, because this has been a formula for a very long time with promoters because they want to keep everything in house, right? So, that way they have control, and everything in life really is a matter of control. And I think a lot of promoters, even back in the days, it was always built that way, where they have to have control of all the fighters, of all the champions, and that's why they'll fight fighters on their own promotion, going around the belts, going around in that cycle, is because they have control over it. They have the biggest, they make the call when it comes down to it. And when you're dealing with other promoters,
yeah.
it makes things difficult, and everybody wants to have the control over things. Everybody wants to have the say and the call of everything,
There's a Janet Jackson song called Control.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, try singing. You don't know the song?
Nope.
Oh, was that one you didn't
Yeah,
understand English?
I didn't
yet?
speak English
Okay.
then. Yeah.
It's okay. Hey, get the smoke, yeah, Raider Nation. Nonito bought this for me a couple months ago, right?
Yeah,
Ronnie's
when I went
birthday.
to yeah,
He went to the Raiders game. They went to the XS like end zone party.
right.
I didn't go because I have this issue of major big crowds.
And Sports and Tunes, that kid from Dominican Republic, I think, hit me up, by the way. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
So what was I gonna say? Oh, so I mean, like, Top Rank was, against
Regis.
no. I'm talking about back in the day.
Oh, back in the day.
Don King, right? Weren't
Right.
they at each other's throats
Yeah,
before?
yeah.
And then I just feel like now there's just more players, which means more going at each other's throats. Gotta fix something real quick. I will be right back, but continue talking.
Yeah. So again, I mean, everybody, we're gonna drop the link here and have a conversation. What do you guys think about promoters? Is promoters are necessary to be a big part of the game, or the way they're calling the fights, or the way they're controlling the fighters and stuff like that? Because I know for a very, very long time, especially in the 90s, 80s and 90s, the control from promoters has been tremendous. You get the same thing with the UFC, right? The UFC, they do their own things, and that's why some Francis kind of step out of that. But anyway, that's the UFC. But boxing in itself, it's always been that way, where the promoters have been calling the shots. I remember one time where sometimes I didn't even get a choice of what I want to do with the belts and stuff like that. You know, promoters have the right to do a lot of things, or they feel like they have the right to call it out without the consent of the fighters. So I've experienced a lot of that kind of stuff where, you know, it's very, very difficult for a lot of fighters to kind of call things out. Let's see, let me read some stuff over here. All fighters want payday, and they should get paid for the work they do. 100%, man, Swift. 100%. You know, fighters should get paid for it, because um we put our mind, body, and soul into the game. You know, we never know if we get out of that ring. You know, and so when it comes down to it, I think that it's like it should be the other way around, right? It should be the other way around, where yes, you guys are promoting the fight, but the fighters should be at least the main event, and everybody else should get the share of things, you know. But I mean, again, business is business. It's part of the how you know they put things together, you know, because obviously us fighters don't know how to put, you know, a show together.
So
So
you feel like promoters have a place in boxing, but do you feel like what they're doing right now, like, so for example, like let's talk about back in the day, right? So you had, you know, Top Rank, and you had Don King, and there wasn't very much
competition,
there wasn't very much competition, and their promotion of what they had to do then versus what they have to do now, right? As far as social media, as far as interacting with the fans, as far as taking the temperature, and the temperature of the fans now, like
right?
social media is something that, remember, we brought to Top Rank
Yes.
years ago, and they looked at us like we were crazy.
Yeah.
Do you feel like these promoters aren't going with the times of what is necessary to what it means to promote?
Well, let's go back in the days, you know.
Back in the time.
Yeah. Let's rewind. Rewind. That was pretty good, right?
That was okay.
Yeah, so if you look back, the promoters back in the days, you know, I mean, granted, it wasn't all the fighters that they promoted, but they promoted the biggest guys out there, right? They put them on TV, they put them on things. You know, granted that now there's so many sports out there to compete with, you know, with the game.
Mhm.
You know, but then they would put people on TV, they would put people on everything, and you could see them everywhere.
Mhm.
You know, now we have the platform to be everywhere, but they're not doing that. You know, I think they just got kind of lazy, and just like, hey, allow the network to just promote it for us.
Well, that, and like, I mean, like, I think a lot of the boxers these days are like, regardless that I can't stand the damn Twitter wars because I think Twitter's silly. I do. I honestly think YouTube is better because, I mean, if you're gonna do or what is it called, Instagram Live, anything that's live,
Right.
I love, because when
You
I
can talk
see-
to each other.
yeah, when I see, like, why couldn't Crawford and Spence go on a live, whoever's live, tag the other person, and then put them on cam? Because this, like, Twitter BS, 140 characters or whatever it is at this point, like, you don't know, first of all, who's running the social media. One. Number
Yeah.
two, you also don't, like, you could say things without a certain tone, or you're thinking you're typing it in a certain way, and it comes out different when you have an inflection, you have a face behind it, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like I don't like those things, even though I understand it's getting their messages out there really quickly, and they get to say it. I'm just saying, like, cam up. Like, that
I
used
mean,
to be
that's.
a thing.
I mean, you know, it's better person to person, of course, but
Cam up.
cam up, right?
I'm just gonna say cam up. But we're gonna go here.
Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, first super chat of the day. Swift718 says, these promoters disgust me when they blame the fighters for not promoting themselves, but the promoters don't go fight for a round for the boxers.
100%, brother. You know, that's something that it's just, it's silly, man. Like, promoters, that's why they're called promoters.
Yeah.
And fighters are called fighters because we fight. It's not the other way around. So I agree with that 100%. It's disgusting because that's their job.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring up a promotional agreement. I want to see what are the I know basehand like what they're supposed to be doing based on the contract with a fighter,
Right.
but I just want to quote it as clean as I can, so I'm not assuming or putting out things that I haven't seen personally. So continue.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that promoters should be promoting the fights. I mean, they got networks that they can connect with, like say, hey, if you want, have them do a cameo at some show or something, or have them do some, go into some, whatever it may be, right? Like say if they're fighting in ESPN, have them have a conversation, or have them be a guest of something and promote that fight on some other show, like a football game or something, or a basketball game or something. Have them, be one of the commentators of something, or a short version that they are seen, and they can promote the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's not something that's hard for ESPN to do. Hey, we have a guest and he'll be fighting at blah blah blah, but let's get him in here and talk about the fight. That's easy. Promoters can do that. Networks can do that, but I don't know why they don't do that. That's the question for me, because they should be promoting fights that way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And, like back in the days, or back a few years back, when HBO used to be in the game, they did the 24/7. They did it 24/7. A lot of people liked it, but they still didn't promote it enough to put people in a cameo, or put people in a show, or put people in people's eyes and promote the fight and say something about the fight. Instead they just kind of like, it's coming, and that was the downfall for HBO. No one really kind of, went and they didn't really. I mean, that's why they're not here anymore. But I think that they should do something like that to promote the fight, because yes, the fighters are focusing on the fights, man. We are focusing on cutting weight. We are focusing on the strategy. We are focusing on a lot of things that's not something that, at times we're not even willing to go out to a press conference, because we're so tired, and they do it close to the fight, on the week of the fight, on that one too.
Yep, I gotcha. Here we go.
Hey, 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 hey. That's a Bay Area thing. Hey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Swift718 says, I believe the promoter's laziness has allowed MMA and celebrity boxing to take the forefront. They provide the viral excitement that boxing used to encompass. Big fights were a cultural event.
Man, that's 100% truth right there again, man. Because that's pretty much what it is. They allowed people to, like you said, the excitement was different, because there's people that are looking forward to things, I mean, like you said, MMA and all the celebrity stuff. They're bringing in other people from YouTube and all this stuff that don't usually watch boxing, because it's exciting. But like you said, promoters should make fights exciting. Like I said, go on shows or go on TV interviews and the news and all this other stuff. They should be able to do that, but they're not doing that. And then like you said, that's why all the other sports that came about, like the entertainment of the celebrity boxing and MMA, they started to overtake the crowds, because of that fact that they are not promoting fights.
So basically, in a nutshell, because this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraphs on just this one, about the exclusive right of the promoter to promote. And just going to read off a couple of the things because it's so much. The exclusive worldwide rights to promote and produce all professional boxing contests, bouts, fights, exhibitions, in addition to not restricted to live gate, site fees, revenues, promotional items, souvenir items, programs, commercial merchandise, photographs, records, broadcast, telecast, blah, 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 blah.
Dang.
Right? So buttons, posters, all of those things, they are supposed to be that they'll have necessary for the full and complete use, exploitation, and exercise of the rights granted to the promoter, allowing them to do all of these things. So let's just say, okay, so they have all these things to promote you, but then they're not doing it. So,
and if you're doing it for yourself, they want to cut off of it.
Yes. Yes, that is
Wow.
yeah, that is one a huge thing in boxing where, for example, someone asked me about like what is it called? What did they ask me about? They asked me about trunk sponsorship, like if they wanted or a merch line with a specific boxer. The thing is that a lot of those times those are tied in, at least the trunks, whatever's on TV, that is tied in with the promoter. And whether or not that the promotional has a cut of the fee that is put onto your trunks, that's, one of the lines if they're going to take a percentage from you. You also have to get it approved. And I do tell this to all the boxers before you put anything on your trunks, make sure you get it in writing from your promoter that it is okay. Because in their thing, if you are promoting something on your trunks that is opposite or a competing brand of what's on the ring, they can get sued. So in turn, they're going to sue your ass. So just make sure you cover yourself on that. Now, as far as anything else, usually sponsorships and all that other stuff, even if your manager hadn't secured the sponsorship in any way, they're entitled to a cut, whatever the cut that is. I don't know. It depends on the contract,
Man.
but usually it's 30% straight across, like with everything that comes into the boxer.
There you go. It's hard. It's hard out here for a boxer.
Well,
to
yeah.
it's very very hard for fighters because people don't understand. Yeah, we have this big money's coming in here and stuff like that. And this is the majority of fighters, of course. The big guys out there, the more popular guys, they have more of a voice to do a lot of things. But a lot of the fighters all the fighters start off this way, where they're just pretty much getting, you know, that.
They're not getting much.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And like I said, like I think there are better ways to promote. I think what happens is you look at people like they're like, well, Top Rank had Muhammad Ali, blah 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 blah, right? But you're also looking at an individual that had broken a lot of barriers, that put his name out there, and had a lot of um political presence in the landscape of where the government and rights were and the war. He was very vocal about things like that. So literally, Top Rank didn't have to do anything. He was out there as a humanitarian on his own, promoting himself.
Yeah.
But if we talk about what promotion is, it's literally getting people to come and watch the fight. And unfortunately, right now, all they're doing is doing the same thing that they did before, which is 4 weeks out, maybe. And
Right.
and the promotional tactic is let's show them running up the hill.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, come on, that has to be that's
well,
that's
there's something too right here for me, right? Back in the days, and some promoters still do it now, is they would promote the fighters, and they would have press conference a month before, or all of that stuff. But now they do it on the week of, man. That's when like everybody's so
Oh,
tired
yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yep.
It's crazy.
well, let's do this
You know?
first.
Hey, 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 hey. Always thank you, Jackie. Thank you always, man. Super sticker. I appreciate you giving love all the time to the channel, and then being here, man. Really, really appreciate
Yeah, and
you.
like we said, Swiss 718, Jackie Hernandez, and anyone else who's, dropping money on this channel, it is going through an LLC, going to our 501c3 that helps with children and women that are abused. But we will be setting up something where if you guys want to become members instead of purchasing it through here, you guys can purchase it through the 501c3, and it'll give you the automatic membership here. And then at least first of all, you get a tax write-off, and then second of all, it goes to a fund that helps women and children that are abused. But we will be staying tuned. But until then, thank you guys so much for your love and
Yes,
support.
much love. Thank you.
Hi, Shelton. Oh, here we go.
Oh, ready to go, Sheldon.
Ready
Ready
to
to go.
How's
We're
everybody feeling?
gonna get back with
Shake it out,
the
shake it out.
Spence
Good
and Crawford right now.
What's today's topic, people?
Promoters.
Promoters.
So we're asking, like, is there a reason to have them anymore? Are they doing their job, or are we are they relying now on the boxers to promote themselves, which they're supposed to be the promoters for, and they're getting, the the financial, whatever of having us do our own thing.
Right.
Well, I
Whereas
think the
before,
promoters. I
yeah,
think
go
that
ahead.
promoters now. I think their sole function now, the way I see it, is to secure a venue. Get the what do they call that?
The site.
Site fee. Their whole goal now is site fees. Secure the venue, get a site fee. Because let's think about it. There are very few boxers even at the top echelon today that can secure their own site fee, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the promoter's job. I think the promoters now rely on social media. I think social media has changed the game, where they figure these guys can get out on social media and promote themselves. I don't have to do as much. All I got to do is secure a venue and get you a date. And I think that's the sole function of promoters. And I also believe that nowadays the roles have reversed, and promoters don't work for the fighters anymore. The fighters work for the promoters.
I mean, it's pretty. The thing now is the social media and all this other stuff, right? But if we look back, how the promoters begin the fighters' career,
Mhm.
they put them up there and to get them to the championships part. They don't just become champion and then, oh, hey, let's you know what I'm saying?
But do we need
Yeah.
them for like
Yeah,
you see
so
a lot of boxers going to events now and doing it on their own,
Yeah,
right?
but I'm saying they're putting the fight. The thing that people don't understand is that it's very difficult to put a promotion together.
Okay, so there is a difference between a promoter, right, that
Yeah.
has them all locked in, and then an event organizer.
Well,
So
an
I
event
thought
organizer
the
can be
I
fighter.
thought the genius of promoters, and I thought Oscar De La Hoya is like one of the best, who's still active, was matchmaking. Right? You develop a fighter, and part of that promotion, right? Is not just developing a fighter to be a champion, but to be a long reigning champion and a star, right? So you can get a return on investment. If you're gonna be recouping all these revenue streams, you want to maximize that, those earnings, right? So it seems to me that not only helping them, like having a social media managers for these people, but also like PR teams, so they can learn how to answer questions, like still not lose their authenticity and become like formulaic, but so they just understand, like being they get their media literacy up. But there's any number of things that I think that the promoters are lacking, but I think really it's still incumbent on the fighters, because a lot of these fighters have grown up in this new environment and they actually understand it better than the promotional companies. So I think the promotional companies to be aware, and I think the fighters need to also, I guess, be their own advocates. Even when they're looking for management and stuff about these kind of things.
I mean, the fighters need to really be aware of a lot of things, because not everybody's there to be good to you,
I mean, let's be honest, like some of these promoters, like they might be saying that they're what they're going to do for you is they're going to try to, get you into best fights, get you into a possible, championship, but literally the reason why they signed you is to become an opponent, right? So they're
Well, an exact, right? When they had me fight Darchinian,
Yeah, I
I
knew
wasn't
this was
signed with
coming
them
soon.
until that moment, so
They made you
because
sign a
yeah,
promotional agreement to
yeah,
fight
Darchinian,
Darchinian.
yeah,
So it was to trap you in case you won. They at
right,
least had the belt still.
right, and that's one thing that promoters do is, again, they would sign fighters to
But don't you think that's bullshit? Because I
Which
mean, first
promotional
of all,
company was that? Which
that
promotional
was
company
Jerry
was that?
Shaw, I think.
Jerry Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's somewhere around somewhere. I don't know.
Somewhere,
He's around though. I
Yeah.
heard his name still
yeah.
like associated with
Mm-hmm.
boxing. I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
thought he was gone. But I mean, like, I think like, what Smoke's saying is like they put money into you, right?
Yeah.
As bringing you up. But specifically this one, they didn't. He was just the opponent for Darchinian, but they put in that clause to make sure they don't lose the bout.
Because they like it cycled on to their own fighter. They want to be able to control that, you know. So
So before you get to the, I mean, isn't the chain? I mean, and it probably changes and depending on the relationships, but just like standard rule of thumb, isn't the you know the fighter with the trainer, and the trainer may be a manager and knows a manager, and the manager is connected to a promoter.
Usually, yeah. Usually that's about what, like, the managers grab the talent first because of the fact that they do have the connection. So a lot of them is like, hey, I work with Top Rank, I work with Golden Boy, I have blah 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 blah, right? And then they're like, let me guide your career. And then so they'll sign the management agreement first. You rarely ever see fighter going straight to promotion because they don't at that point there's such a big gap in the experience of the level of the game that they really don't know how they're supposed to deal with the promoter, and they need a mouthpiece unless you're someone who has won in the Olympics. Then most of these promotions don't know who you are, and for you to have to try to sell yourself to them and say, hey, listen, you should do this, it looks it's not like frowned upon, but you don't ever hear a boxer like trying to sell themselves and say, you should look at me, and the promotion actually taking them seriously. They literally look at other people who have experience in looking at these up and comers and rely on their judgment if it's a good decision to sign you or not.
yeah, and you know, you actually, I feel like I want to dance right now. So
Okay,
let's dance
let's
right
dance.
Hey, 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 hey.
Oh, I don't ever get sick of that song. Swift718 said, I hate the narrative spun by promoters about there not being a big boxing audience when they must cultivate that audience. For it to succeed, it must continuously live through the youth. If not, when we die, so does interest. I agree.
Man, you're on
He's
point.
spitting on like
Yeah, you're on
points. You know,
point,
he
brother.
You right on because
Yeah,
the
you're
biggest,
on point.
dropped it.
I think the biggest death knell to boxing was taking it off of network television
Mm.
because now there's not as many eyes on the sport as it was back in our day. You know, where it was on Tuesday night fights, Thursday night fights,
Right.
USA, TNT, HBO. You had all these platforms that were showing boxing, and people got to see these guys and watch these guys come up. Whereas now, you don't hear about a guy until he's already like 30-0, but he's fought 30 cans. Oh, this is the next guy. Well, he hasn't
Right.
fought anybody, so we don't really know who he is because he hasn't fought anybody worthy of his competition. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, an example of this too, like what Swift was saying, like say for instance, Crawford, right? Bob was saying, oh, he can't sell this, he can't sell that, and this is why I'm losing money on him and all of that stuff.
Said
But
he could have bought a new house.
right, so that would have been something that he could have done, or the promotion could have done because he's a great fighter. People should be able to see him all the time, but they didn't really kind of put him in people's eyes, like you were saying. They just kind of took people out of that mainstream shows or channel or something like that.
Right,
Boxing had a lot of momentum in terms of that. Like it was everywhere, right? It was on network TV, it was on cable, ESPN, and there was like an upstart app with the streaming. But the pandemic hit, and that was the last time we got championship fights on network TV. And now actually everyone started consuming content differently because they were all sequestered at home. People just started streaming everything. So now the sport is in a transition from broadcast, because all the advertising dollars left broadcasting is going to streaming. Now boxing has to figure out how to capture that audience because it's just the viewership on broadcasters is just all the way down.
Okay, so I have a question because I don't recall this. Haney versus Cambosis 1 and 2, wasn't that just on ESPN Plus?
It was on regular ESPN.
It was on both. It was on both.
But that's it, right? It wasn't a pay-per-view?
No, only in Australia.
Only in Australia.
Okay, so for me, this is kind of left field, but I do want to say this before I forget. I've been hearing like all this stuff about like who sells more pay-per-views, and then they end up putting like Haney versus Tank or whatever, right? It's totally two different things. Like the viewership on both are you can compare it, but they're still not apples and apples because one was on pay-per-view and one was just on the platform with the regular subscription. So I feel like people are making weird arguments about, numbers, pay-per-views, promotions, and all this other stuff when it's not the same comparable thing. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's true when you do Devin Haney and Tank, but what's crazy for me is comparing Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. Like for me, like Ryan Garcia, like fighting on the zone, like I'm sure he makes money like at the live events and probably with merchandise, but fighting on his own in a platform that like I don't think very many people see, versus a guy who's like headlining with on in front of millions of people, and behind the paywall that's way bigger than the zone, that platform. I'm not quite sure how people make the draw the conclusion that Ryan Garcia is a bigger fight than Devin Haney.
Well,
Well,
they draw the conclusion, Smoke, because Ryan Garcia has a Gatorade commercial. Ryan Garcia has been on an NFL commercial. Ryan Garcia is noticed by Madison Avenue.
Well,
Right.
let me get.
Here
Yeah,
in
definitely.
America, that gives you a bigger platform than somebody who you only see on Showtime whenever they fight.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So sure, let's put that to one side, right? Because I mean, really, out of Ryan Garcia's own mouth, he said he's making more money outside of boxing. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to translate, and that's what you're talking about speaks to that sentence. He makes more money outside of boxing, but we're talking about inside of boxing, not Ryan
Right.
Garcia's pockets outside of boxing.
Well, he
So how's
hasn't
that
done
going to
anything.
translate?
Let me.
He hasn't done anything inside of boxing to make money. He hasn't won a
Yeah, that's
title.
what I'm saying. He's a pitchman.
Yeah.
He's basically a walking
But,
headshot.
but
They like him as a model.
I have something to say about that too, though. But let me hit this up first. Hey, hey.
oh, never gets old.
Never gets old.
All right, Swift718 said DBE promotes my cousin and have been useless. Highly decorated amateur, now a pro with one controversial decision loss. He should have work post pandemic.
You know, I was a highly decorated amateur, and I had lost. I thought it was. I know it was controversial when I lost my second fight, and nobody dared to give me any chance at all. But I'm gonna get back to you, Sheldon, and think on the other one. But let me hit this one first. I was highly decorated, and then I lost my second fight, and then all of a sudden, nobody cared about me, and I became the short notice guys. They would put me 1 week notice, a couple days notice, and I would knock the guys out and all of that stuff. But that was how boxing was, and how much people try to keep their zeros and stuff like that. Because if you have one, they couldn't really try to do anything with you. And that's the crazy thing back in the days for me was, they don't really care too much when you have that loss. They don't really care too much when now you have to have people in the back. And this is why I'm going to go back into Ryan Garcia and Smoke. Yes, he's not doing much inside by winning belts and all of that stuff, but he does bring in a lot of people in, just like Jake Paul is doing. These guys are getting paid more money than me, than any fighters who's undisputed and all of that stuff. Why? Because they bring the people in. And I believe Swift, your cousin, when he does learn to bring all those people in, that loss don't mean shit. What do you think, Sheldon? Because
That
Sheldon
is
was
a
like,
fact. That is a fact. What you said is a fact. Because I've heard a lot of fighters say the same thing. They said the reason they try to hold on to the O is because once you lose the O, now your monetary value decreases.
yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
command this much for a fight now because I've lost.
And,
Whereas,
and
Yeah, that guy that you lost to is a legend in MMA. There's a coach in the gym, taught all these damn
yeah,
legends.
right. He trained what's his name? The
Cormier.
big, Yeah, Cormier. Yeah,
Yeah, he traded a lot of. He tried to let a lot of those champions.
right.
Didn't do much in boxing, but great, great
I'll
career in
still,
Well,
WWE.
look,
I'll
we
still
have
say to
another
his
example.
face.
Go ahead,
I'll
go
still
ahead, go ahead,
say
Youngito.
to his
Go ahead.
face. I'll still say to his face. I beat you in that fight, man. That's
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say.
I mean, we got other examples of that though, because we all, we're old heads, so we all remember Freddie Roach when he was fighting. He didn't do shit in boxing. So look at him now.
Yeah, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The platform has changed
Yeah.
dramatically.
Yes.
It's not about it's like a celebrity boxing now. It's a celebrity boxing. You
Right.
bring more people in, the more you get paid, the more people are gonna watch you, because boxing in itself, there's true boxing fans and there's true fight fans and all that stuff. But the people that are getting all this stuff are the people that are bringing in, that people don't really care about boxing, but they'll support their people or the people that they follow. And that's what it's all about. And that's why with Ryan Garcia, he gets paid more out of boxing because of all this stuff as a social media celebrity than being a boxing celebrity.
Wait, what you were talking about your
I'm
Oh,
talking
we're
about
just
Ryan
talking
Garcia.
about going back about me, because he's saying Swift was saying that his cousin lost a controversial loss, and I said, it's about bringing in people and all of that stuff, and and when you bring in people, that loss don't mean nothing. Like
Yeah.
like with me when I
Even
lost the second fight, and he came up with like,
the
oh yeah,
second fight guy came out of nowhere after you beat Montiel and said that he beat you. I was trying to get clout, and then we ran into him in Las Vegas, and I'm like, Nonito's like, this is the guy that I lost to on my second fight. I was like, wait a minute, weren't you on social media saying that you were gonna come back and beat Nonito? And he was like, I was just kidding.
I mean, we train in the same gym and all that stuff back in the day, so but zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4 don't matter.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Regardless
5.
if regardless of how many losses you have, when you bring in people, that's pretty much it. An example for that too, back in the days, Arturo Gotti would lose every single time or a lot of times, but he bring in people everywhere. He'll bring in all the Canadians everywhere, he'll bring in all the Italians everywhere,
Exactly.
and he would get paid more than a lot of people do, even though he's losing fights.
Hassam
Exactly.
Ahmed, good point.
Adrian Brody.
People who only look at records, look at old time fighters, they'll consider them bums because of the amount of losses they have, which is completely true. I feel like, like, yes, okay, great. The zero sounds pretty, but if you didn't fight anyone that was worth that, keeping your zero, I feel like it's BS. I'm gonna be controversial. Was it Munguia that I was looking at that I'm like, he's 40-0, and I'm like, but
Yeah, Munguia.
So I don't think he's not a bad fighter, right? I think he has talent and all this stuff, and he's been groomed in a way, but I also think that he's been protected with a 40-0 record and not really challenging
Oh,
himself.
watch out! All the Mexicans
just gonna
coming.
say
All
it.
the Mexicans are
Come
coming.
on, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean,
Let's go back in the day. Hagler had a couple losses before he went on a streak.
Navarrete Dogbe and Munguia Saddam Ali were two of the most big setup fights I can remember in recent memory. That was just fucking sad to watch.
Well, Hagler had some losses before he went on a streak. My man Monzon, Carlos Monzon, lost his first couple fights and then went on a streak. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, if you're fighting top guys and you're beating top guys, the losses don't mean that much.
Well, the only time that'll happen is when you start knocking all their guys out.
Right.
Because but in the beginning they would make them a stepping stone.
Jesus, Shelton, you're vibrating. I told you to be putting that away. It's 9:40 in the morning. Shelton has vibrated. Okay, Hassam Ahmed said Hagler as an example and avenged losses and controversial decisions. And B Hop had the same thing. Ghost said, "Old Dirty Boxing said only casuals like Monkey."
I mean, Munguia is not bad. I think he has talent and all that stuff, but I think that they are being groomed, and that's how they did back in the days. They would groom these guys.
They have pretty records. Look at the guy that freaking Jason Maloney fought
From Thailand.
From Thailand, 52-1, who fought like guys who were 0-1-0 and a debut fighter 4 fights ago. Like that's what we're saying about like I don't really like particularly like, oh my god, they're undefeated. Because I'm like, well, who the hell did you defeat when with that big of a record? And if I don't see anyone that I first of all have respect for, and I'm not gonna say respect for, but is a challenge, one, and number two, if they're all just within your country, that's another one. And number three, you're fighting guys who are like 3-70. Then no, I don't even know how they're getting these fights sanctioned. Honestly, when I see these
It's so
guys'
crazy.
records, I'm like, this is BS. Who's sanctioning this crap?
Today, by the way, is my third day of not eating, so I get heated really fast.
You're heated?
I'm heated physically and mentally.
Well, why are we going to sparring today then? You might kill someone.
No, I'm not gonna spar. I ain't got no energy
I have
for
a
sparring.
bad feeling that if someone
But if
says for
somebody
you to spar, you're gonna put on your gear.
I know I'm still gonna bring my
So
gear.
we're going to Top Rank today. The Price brothers are here. They followed us from Philly. And we saw them yesterday, trained them for a bit yesterday, and of course, Dylan and Devin are fighting February 18th in Philly. So they want some spar rounds. So we called up Frank from Top Rank, and they basically have like pretty much war Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays.
Yeah, they have,
and it's like free smoke.
There. Yeah.
So we're gonna go over there, and I have this weird feeling that this one's gonna bring his sparring equipment.
I didn't have any food for the last 3 days. Sunday night.
I feel
Sunday
like
night
you're
was
gonna
the
come
last.
in there, and like your hands are gonna be like sweaty, like you guys start itching to just like just bang.
I like fighting. That's pretty much what I do, you know. But yeah.
Okay, so Ghost said Munguia has been running from Andrade since 2019, sent him 3 offers, and dude declined every single one.
See, to me, this is an example of like promotion, right? And that grooming and like development and trying to make a star for the future. Like time is on Munguia's side, and it doesn't seem like Oscar is particularly willing to risk his assets right now. He doesn't even have a champion, like Golden Boy without a champion. And it's been like an extended since Canelo left, really, somewhere around there. He hasn't, and yeah, like Ryan Garcia wanted to like Oscar wanted Ryan to take more fights. Ryan said he didn't want to take fights. Munguia wanted the Charlo fight. Oscar's the one who blocked that fight. Virgil Ortiz, I'm not sure what's going on with Virgil Ortiz, but it just seems like the Golden Boy, standard their standing operating procedure right now is to give these guys developmental fights.
That's crazy though, because I mean, like you see, like you said, ever since Canelo left, but before that, like there was like a good stable of guys, and it's like they just fell over the wayside, and they're not, I mean, look how long. Okay, so that was it 2 Mondays ago. I'm losing track of time when what's his name, when Oscar said that if he doesn't get the contract by Monday,
yes,
it still hasn't been signed.
But they got it. Though,
they got it, but how long? I mean, like how?
Tank should be like Monday. If you don't sign that stuff, I'm done.
you know what I'm saying though? Like,
do we ever get fights that are like negotiated in the press or social media? Do we ever get those? Do those fights ever come off?
Okay, you have to name some. I mean, negotiated in the press.
Yeah, like when you hear them talk about we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Like Wilder AJ, Fury AJ, Spence Crawford, where you get all of this stuff in the media. Like when do these fights ever come off? And maybe Floyd did it. Maybe Floyd and like Conor McGregor.
Yeah. But I mean, like anything else, like we've said before, like, it's the smoke and mirrors game, which I hate, especially since we're in that side, right? With like when Jason Maloney said that we are in negotiation in December, I'm like, man, my phone hasn't rang. What the freak? Like, what kind of narrative are you trying to spin so it looks pretty?
Ghost was saying that they build up all this fighter to get a one big payday. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much what they did to a lot of fighters. You know, they did it to Fernando Vargas. You know, just when he had his moment, they'll give him big fights. You know, they did it to a lot of fighters where they build him up like crazy, and then they'll give him a big fight. You know, to get a big payday and stuff like that. Sometimes they go beyond that. You know, like
Yeah.
Oscar did.
Let's go.
Hey, hey, hey.
Swift718 says when boxing's on network TV, promotion must be bigger. Broadcast TV reaches a far higher consumer base than the highest pay-per-view buy rate ever. Take that opportunity to promote like hell to make household superstars and then make pay-per-view enticing through osmosis.
It's a big word.
Well,
I knew you were going to say
For
some shit
me.
like that.
the Top Rank is the best suited, right, to do the UFC model.
Well, because they have ESPN. They both have ESPN, right?
Yeah, and they also have a machine
though-
through the amateurs and these blue chips, and they build them up to a certain place, and then those guys can go off and do the celebrity thing. So there's and it's also the that demographic that ESPN has, the 18 to 35. That's actually the demographic of their fighters too.
Right. And then I think, like I said earlier, you know, on Swift's thing, what I said earlier is they should put them on like as a guest on some other stuff. You know, they had comedian as a guest on Sports Center and stuff like that. Why can't they put fighters in there and promote the fight that way? You know?
But also, you know what I do find interesting is that UFC does have their fights on ESPN, but you actually have to it's like a pay-per-view. You have to pay. Where Top Ranks is more like hello, we saw the Teofimo Sandor Martin at the bar because they didn't have to pay commercial streaming because it was just free on ESPN, right?
Yeah.
So I think the thing is what Swift is saying is being able to get those audience that don't have to pay, build them, get them to like the fighter, get them to follow the fighter, get them to be emotionally invested in the fighter, and then have them start turning over pay-per-views when they have a formidable opponent that's popular and stuff like that. It's not like you're just putting someone on pay-per-view and you're saying, hey, buy this pay-per-view, and people are like, who is that?
Right. So back in the days, you know, like
I love how you keep saying that.
No, but when Sheldon was talking about when they had Tuesday night fight, Friday night fights, and stuff like that, people were seeing them every single time because they were regular cable TV channels.
Yeah.
You know, and even if they didn't promote them, they were seeing them, you know, and all that stuff. So, I mean, they would take advantage of that. 100%, they would definitely take advantage of if they were able to do that stuff.
I just feel like they were doing a lot more different stuff. Do you remember we went to I feel like it was CES. Yeah, it was CES one year. And we were walking through the exhibition halls. And then there was a hall, I think it was ESPN, and they were doing a boxing match.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
We were like, what the hell is this?
And Neno was fighting in that fight.
Yes.
On ESPN, yeah.
And they were trying to capture, first of all, it's the electronic show. And they think they were I don't know if it's when the crone
No, I think what they were trying to do for ESPN at that time was to do the VR. I think it was the
that
VR.
What they were trying to do?
I think that's what they were trying to do with the VR. Yeah.
Oh.
Like that you can watch VR and all that stuff, you know, blah 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 or something like that, you know. So, you know, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm not sure. But I mean, was it not fun to have that kind of thing, there because of the fact that they wouldn't have gotten these electronic geeks to even look at boxing, but they were at CES.
Maybe it was a video. I don't know, man. It's been a while.
It was something. Maybe they were doing their streaming service.
There's a new boxing game that's dropping. I'm interested in how that's going to work out. The Undisputed.
Yeah. What's up, H? What's up, brother? Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, this boxing in itself just kind of went everywhere and just kind of went this way and just you know what? I'm just gonna sit on my chair and I'll let them do whatever they need to do.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So why? Okay, if Top Rank has ESPN, why aren't they showcasing these guys on different avenues and not just their fight? You know what I'm saying? there's different there's talk shows on ESPN that they
But
could
that's
have
exactly what I'm saying.
Top Rank just seems to be a built machine that they haven't really added on to. That is just a pipeline for new talent to get seen, like they were talking about. I mean, the last like big names of boxing came from Top Rank, right? And it's been happening for a long time now. And it seems like that thing isn't broken. It's just that these guys, I don't know. The Top Rank just doesn't do enough. They're in a unique position to I think do a lot of the things that other promoters could adopt, like develop the not just have your talent out there floating, having to promote themselves when there's no fight. I mean, like you're saying, sending them to different like venues, sending them to different shows to get them to other shows on ESPN. All of that stuff they're in a position to do, but they're not. I don't know if it's a failure of imagination or it's just they have a machine that's built and they just like the way it runs.
I think the biggest word here that they need to work on is how to make the fighter a household superstar. Right? I think that's the key that promoters should create for this fighter, how to make them a household superstar. Because
but we don't like that process, because that process looks like really what it looks like is soft touches and developmental fights, so that because it takes time, it looks like what Tank Davis does. Like if you're gonna cater to a network, the network is definitely wanting to star, right? So you're gonna have to give them winnable fights. For the casinos, maybe you have to do it some where there's some sort of intrigue, so that guy can give them some good odds and stuff. But for the networks, they just want they want a star, which means Tank.
But if you build more than one person, right, to create something, one first and foremost, boxing is business. But when we can create those for other people, when people can get excited, that's what boxing is about. It's like, oh yeah, man, I love boxing. When there's no excitement, like Swift was saying earlier, how the MMA came about and all this celebrity fighting is because there's excitement into it, right? So something that boxing really need is to create this household superstar that create this excitement for people to look forward to, but not with that uncertainty that they will fight or they will not fight.
Well, UFC has that one where they, the reality shows series, and then wasn't continuing the boxing one for quite some time, and it got people interested,
right?
And then it just dropped off the face, and no one's doing it again, right? And promoters and all this other stuff. But the thing is the fact of bringing not just like, for example, if I wasn't in boxing and I turn on ESPN and I saw fights, I'm like, eh. And then so I'm making dinner and I'm playing what looks like a reality show of guys arguing in a household of what they're supposed to eat or whatever. And this guy's saying, oh, I'm vegan. And I'm like, oh, I'm vegan. And then so I'm starting to connect
and
with this guy.
I'm a meat eater.
Yeah. But you're connecting with them outside of the boxing, and they're building these personas for, let's just say, 3 months. And then, 3 months after the show ends, I'm watching TV and I'm like, wait, that was the same guy that was a vegan boxer. Oh, he's fighting this weekend. I'll watch that.
Well, 100%. Where there has to be the formula really is put the emotion and how to connect with that person, and that's how people kind of go and clamor towards that person.
Yeah, I just feel like the way that they do it, like how HBO and how even Showtime does it, like they literally ask you the questions and then they get you running up a hill, and that's like right. It's like they have a cookie cutter, like these are the shots you always have to get. There's nothing that makes it personable to be like, oh, okay, that's that's what I want. Like I wasn't really particular about the HBO 24/7 series because it was so dry. It was just like, and today he has
that's
a bunch of people.
Said.
That would be what he said. But anyway, that's tomorrow, Sex and Boxing.
Oh yeah, tomorrow's Sex and Boxing at night, by the way. So talk about boxing, talk about sex. That's tomorrow night at 7. At 7.
Mm-hmm.
They're fucking and punching, huh?
Yeah. It's a new sport.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's why I think like I mean we're doing the bare minimum and we're getting the bare minimum by doing this. So I just feel like there's just so much easier ways to promote our fighters where it's not just, you know, hey, 4 weeks before, woohoo, we have a fight coming up.
Right. I mean, I think that there should be a cycle of putting their fighters, not just one fighter just because he's fighting in this month, you know, that they're going to put him in there, right? There should be a cycle of people just putting and being guests and being seen constantly so that people can get very excited about things. You know what I mean? And again, that's what it was all about, is just getting excited about things.
This I'm going to highlight this first. UFC Ghost said that UFC also gives its athletes classes on how to use social media to market yourself and so much more. They educate the fighters. This is what I want to emphasize. I know a Russian in UFC who is getting English classes from the UFC. Now, the fighter that Nonito was working with, Zhang, she didn't speak very good English a while ago, and now she's able to, and she's coming across into the American market. Now take that and compare it to Inoue, where they're just like, hey, here's this fight. We have absolutely no idea what he's saying, but here's it. You're supposed to watch.
I mean, he is big in Japan, but not worldwide. You know,
the UFC is teaching their fighters how to speak
right.
English.
They're doing what they're supposed to do in the
Top
boxing.
Rank did that, like how much would it cost for freaking Top Rank to send freaking Inoue to English classes so then he would be somewhat likable or understood by the general population?
Relatable, yes.
Yes, exactly.
So
Yeah, I mean, Motown used to do this, right? That was their thing. They called it, you know, he learned it from his time at Ford. It's like just a conveyor belt. How you build a star. It's not like the same formula has been around since our parents' age. It's just like whether or not, like boxing. So right, it's the match. Like I was saying, Matchroom does an okay job of it, but they're really local when it comes down to it. They're like their target, their core audience is an English one that has their own culture and their own history when it comes to boxing.
Yeah.
When they try to apply that on a global scale, it doesn't quite ring as like, you know, it's not quite as good as the product that they do at home. And like sort of case in point was Dimitri Bivol versus Canelo. Like that was one of the most dangerous fights of Canelo's career, and nobody knew who the hell Bivol was before or after that fight.
Right.
And they didn't do any kind of, you know, like promotion of that guy or that fight. It was just about like Canelo, and it seemed like it was just another Canelo opponent, and he's just going to collect another belt.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
Well, they expect that Canelo was going to do something to win the fight.
No, but if you're going to promote a fight, you have to promote who the hell he's fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Because you could have probably got better odds, you got a better thing. Like he would have a better sense, and there's more excitement to it. Even if you think Canelo's going to win, you go, "Wow, this guy's a monster," that kind of thing, right?
Hold on, Smoke. Let me do that again, because let me do that again one more time.
My bad, I pressed it.
Yeah, she pressed it. So, hey.
Okay, what is Swift 7182?
We have YouTubers making these highlight videos for free based on passion for the fighters and are way more effective at promoting using social media than most things modern promoters do.
What do you think about that? So being a YouTuber.
I mean,
we got the Haneys, right? They kind of, and then you guys. I mean, even Sean Porter, before he retired. I mean, you have some active people who are doing it, but like mostly, like Ryan Garcia is a special kind of case. Like that guy, if he wasn't a boxer, would probably like be getting endorsement, like, you know, be in somebody's clothes. Like he has those kind of looks that like maybe Hollywood or Madison Avenue is looking for, right? Like that's just the thing. The fact that he's a boxer is like kind of immaterial. That's just like, you know. So you have those kind of guys, but when it comes to this thing, like there's a talent. Like promotion is a talent. It's a job, sure, but like being able to throw a big show that excites people to understand, you know, the pulse of the, you know, your audience, like that's a talent. So like in the modern era, when these guys get out of off the top rank and they go out on their own, you're starting to see that they don't have the business acumen. They don't really know how to throw a show. They've cut out the middleman, sure, so they can make more money, but they haven't filled that job with like talent of
Mhm.
like how to actually put together an event that people give a damn about.
Well, the world is changing dramatically, like Swift said, you know, promoters are not doing enough compared to all these guys that are in YouTube. Like, why do you think the Paul brothers are such? I mean,
They
when
got a contract with Showtime. Jesus
yeah, they
Christ.
have a contract with Showtime, so they're not even citing the best guys out there because these guys are making the money. These guys are coming in with people, and like this one's that in stating this, the YouTubers who can promote themselves properly are 100% doing way more better than these promoters are
Yeah,
doing.
but those YouTubers are already doing better before they got into the sport. Like this is a
Mhm.
different it's a different lane that they're in that they've created. But my social media is another distribute like it's straight to the consumer, right? So when that KSI and Logan Paul fight happened, on YouTube for $5, like that just and it was kind of a dual thing. You had Floyd and McGregor and the MMA versus boxing thing that MMA marketed, right? Like we are the better than boxing, and Ronda Rousey can beat Floyd Mayweather. Like they did all of that stuff. Like MMA has done a pretty good job of tying its marketing to boxing and saying it's been overcoming boxing. Like the narrative has been for years. UFC is overcoming, MMA is overtaking boxing. MMA is overtaking boxing. It's not, but that's what the UFC's like marketing thing is. So now you even hear just people, parroting what the UFC has been saying for years. And then you got guys like the Logan Paul thing, but those guys, I don't know. That's a niche market. They happen to box. If they did, they also happen to collect Pokemon cards. But since we don't give a damn about Pokemon cards, we don't know that. But we
Sure will
care
does.
about boxing, so we know like it's just a thing that like these are celebrities that happen to do a thing that have an audience in Showtime. Yeah, but they also know how to put on a spectacle. They understand their audience. They know how to cultivate a community and also monetize that community. Like that's what they do. And they
But that
also
should be
happen to
that
be
should be
celebrities.
a blueprint for the promoters. That should be a blueprint. Like I agreed before even saying this, with Swift. Oh, I gotta do this. Rach, where you at, man? We gotta dance. But let me get this one, and it goes with it. Watch, Hey, hey. I appreciate you, Swift, man. I appreciate you, brother. So he said a promoter should have this approach. Your fighter is the best fighter alive, and every guy his fight is the meanest killer in the land. Now that's what I was gonna say. Smoke is this is a blueprint, right? If this is going on, I mean, look, when Terrence Crawford put on his Twitter or he went live on his Instagram, how many people showed up? Thousands of people showed up, right? Just
Yeah.
because they want to hear about this stuff. Promoters, if Bob just sit there for 10 minutes or 5 minutes and then the rest, the other people can talk about, a lot of people will tune into that because they want to know what the hell is going on. They want to know all this stuff. That puts another line in just the YouTubers people, and then just putting another level of social media in the promotion. Again, going back into promoting as promoters. You know what I'm saying, Smoke?
Yeah, yeah. You have to get the fight that captures your fans' imagination, right? Those kinds of fights are really great for social media, like the
And
back and forth between Devin Haney and Shakur. That
right,
thing blew the hell up. Like
and
Terrence Crawford, his live, for on the backs of the failed
right.
negotiations for Errol Spence. That blew up.
And if the
Like stuff
promoter
like
come
that.
in
That's
and
part of the cultural zeitgeist. Social media is the place for that thing, because the networks aren't paying attention to the way that they should, right? So yeah, but just to be the social media and a boxer, like social media, it takes charisma, like it's and talent. Is yeah, you have a platform with social media and you have a system, but you have to be able to work that system. Like for me, I like Errol Spence as a fighter, but I'm not trying to listen to that dude talk. Really, he seems like a really like uninteresting person when it comes to like the extreme personalities you get on social media platforms. So he's just gonna get lost in the sauce while he's like playing a farmer or being a dad or a family
Well,
man, running up a hill. Like
what,
that's
what
just not
about this?
interesting.
Yeah, exactly. But what about this though? The promoter is going there and he's interacting. Just visualize this, right? Interacting with the crowd. There's gonna be thousands of people viewing in, and he just asked the question, "Hey, which fight do you guys want to have a fight next? Can we put Haney with whatever, with Teofimo, or Haney with um, whoever, right?" So that's what I'm saying. He's just like, imagine how exciting that is for people just to even see them talk about the fight and asking the people what kind of fight they want to make.
Yeah,
That goes into a long way of promotion, just being there in front of everybody, and everybody's going to be tuning in.
yeah. I mean, one of the most viral things, we had a couple of those things in the Errol Spence, Budge, saga, and one of them, yeah, did feature Bob Arum, and it's probably the most quoted one from 2018 when it, too light and ass, let's bet a million, all that stuff, easy route, all that stuff that came from, Bob Arum was sitting right there, and I don't know if Bob is a little long in the tooth, and I don't know that there's a promoter that can really feel it. I guess Frank Warren, but he's he's on the other side of the Atlantic. Yeah, I don't know. There's like Oscar, man. Oscar just got so like cautious with his assets now. The way that he sells them, yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on with the promotion. Cameron Duncan
I
seems
think, I
to have a
think,
really
I,
good eye for talent.
yeah, I
You
think,
know,
I think there's a lot of internal issues, and all of that stuff. Because they kind of disappeared, after Canelo kind of left, they just kind of like floated here and there, you know what I mean? But they're not really pushing themselves anymore like they used to back in the days.
yeah, I mean, they were a force. I'm not even sure. Yeah, I'm like when I think of promoters, right? I think of my favorite, right, that nobody ever talks about is, of course, the guy that represents you, Richard Schaefer. To me, that guy, like nobody ever says anything bad about this dude. He seems to
Yeah,
be always accessible. He makes good fights. He represents like great fighters. Um, and the World Boxing Super Series is like one of the best additions into boxing, in my opinion, right? And his association with Sauerland, and they put on really good shows, right? They seem to understand like how to capture that lightning in a bottle that is exciting boxing match, right? Um, but yeah, after that you got Bob. You know what you can expect from Bob, and then you got Eddie Hearn, and then it's like a patchwork of like independent operators, right? And
right.
yeah, I don't know. They seem to like
I just put a good idea out there for this promoters to be putting their YouTube channel and doing their lives and asking the fans. I bet you there's gonna be thousands. See, I'm putting it out there. That's just gonna be the next promotion of how promoters gonna be promoting.
on Top Ranks, the most viewed video on Top Ranks in 2022 is still Muhammad Ali, like two Muhammad Ali fights.
Wow. I mean, it's they just don't put anything out there. They don't see the power that social media can do. Like again, when Crawford was saying something, because everybody was so excited about the Crawford Spence fight, when he came out for the Instagram, everybody tuned in. I tuned in. All the people that I know tuned in because they want to know what's going on. But then, they got. I've seen thousands of people checking it out. But that's what I'm saying is that, like, even fighters can do this, right? And just talk to the people and promote themselves in that way, and become superstars in the way of the social media way, like the Paul brothers and even Ryan Garcia. But promoters can do that too by having everybody get excited about fights and asking people about fights and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I don't know what numbers it did on broadcast, because that Andre Ward, Terrence Crawford interview was broadcasted. But if you were to look at that same interview on social media, right, the numbers from Terrence Crawford's that Instagram live he did, like dwarf all other interviews that he's done. Right, that thing did like hundreds of thousands of views, whereas not really the other one. Not the other one's not so much.
Right.
And that's also another guy that doesn't necessarily ooze charisma through the camera, but he is authentic enough that if he did say, and I think he's also dynamic enough. I think he does some cool stuff. He's generally out and about helping people in the gym and stuff. I think he could probably be one of those dudes who would have a bigger profile if he let people have more access. If he was just more comfortable,
My
and like his
biggest
comfortable
question.
surroundings. Like he's definitely a guy that would be interesting to watch, I think.
My biggest question, Smoking, for everybody out here: does the promoter deserve what they are getting from the fighters?
Okay. If a promoter is but advocating for you with the sanctioning bodies and making sure your position there is being your interests there are being looked after, if they are putting you on cards with the networks, so your interests there are being looked after, if they're working with matchmakers to make sure that you are matched correctly, so your interests are
Well,
being looked
from
after
what has
there.
been done, from what
They get
has been done throughout the years, that is the question that I'm asking. Has the promoter been deserving of what they are getting from the fighters?
But the promoters
Yeah.
usually use a matchmaker though that gets paid.
Yeah, that
Yeah, they have their own matchmaker.
I think like traditionally, I think Oscar has been really good. He's like one of my faves when it comes to this thing, right? Like 2 years, but was it? I think they got a great value for their association with Golden Boy. Those guys, traditionally, I don't know, and it seems like Matchroom maybe, um, yeah, Top Rank seems to.
I mean,
I mean, they
everybody out
make you
here
a
is
star,
saying
right?
they probably not,
Yeah.
I have a question with Golden Boy.
What?
Roberto Diaz was what? Was he a matchmaker?
I think he might have been. I
He
think
Well,
so.
he's
one of
gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he's there. They're saying that he was a matchmaker. Didn't he leave like last week or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be really interesting. Like if that's going to affect their matchmaking.
I mean,
Now,
the way that they moved
was he,
Canelo, I
was
think
he
was masterful, right?
did he leave, or are they just kind of chopping themselves smaller?
I don't know. Wasn't he the one that was at the
Question.
WBC like talk on the wrong day?
He didn't show up on the
Right, but he was the one on the ratings day that was petitioning for the Thurman fight. Was that him?
You talking about Verge?
Yeah,
No,
I'm saying that Diaz, the guy from
Roberto
used to be
Diaz.
formerly of Golden Boy, was that the same? Was that the same guy?
Yeah, he was the one on the race day that was trying to get
Yeah.
Virgil to be the number one. And
You guys were there, so I'm not gonna speak on what you guys saw. But to me, all that stuff was planned.
Oh, I
knew
mean, it
what
was
they were doing.
televised, and we all saw it. It was televised.
No, I'm
Yeah,
saying
it
they
was-
knew what they were doing. Though it was planned. It was planned not to show up and make all this noise and then not show up because they knew they wanted to go another route.
Well,
They knew they
but
wanted to go
but they were the ones. So Roberto Diaz was the one at the WBA that secured, as far as I know, the Ortiz Stanionis fight during the purse bid.
Right.
And then now he's bye.
Right.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. You and Nonito. How's that going to work now if the Stanionis and Virgil fight went to purse bid, right? And the zone won the bid, correct?
Yes, Golden Boy.
Why is
yes.
now Virgil? Why are there rumors now that Virgil wants to pull out of that fight and go to WBO route again?
Probably because he might have petitioned to have the to move on from the Stanionis fight, and the WBA probably said no. And so if he's locked because it's only a postponement, not a cancellation, and he's like, well, I want to fight someone else, and they're like, no, this was mandated and there was a purse bid, so no, you don't get to walk away. The only way he can walk away is if he relinquishes his spot in the WBA. He might just not want to wait for Stanionis.
So, what happens to the promotion? Okay, so to bid on those, to even do a bid, don't you have to pay like $2,000, like $250,000 to get the license to even do the bid, and then you have to win the bid? Like, is that like non-refundable?
No, you have to license. You have to be a licensed promoter. And then number 2, you have to have you have to pay to play. So different sanctioning bodies have their different pay to plays. You 5,000, 10,000 to bid, and then you bid, and I believe certain amount of days after you win the winning bid, because it's not like I go I bid $1 million and he goes I bid $1,000,001 and I go I bid $1,000,002.
Yeah, it's not like that.
You can't do that. It's just like
Yeah,
you
close
only
bid. Yeah, you put your number down and then one wins, right? The highest number wins.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's it.
so
And then you have to I think you have to within so many days you have to put 10% of the fee down. And then yeah, then it
Yeah.
goes from there.
So if Virgil walks away, that pay to play money, is that returned or no?
No, the pay to play money is never returned.
That's
the winning
the
bid
non-refundable.
10%,
Okay.
yeah, the winning bid 10%. I'm not completely sure.
Yeah.
I thought you don't get it back though, because I thought Triller, remember, like they're
Yeah.
like, well, they don't get the money back. Like that was like the deposit. And
Non-refundable deposits. So pay to play,
Yeah.
non-refundable deposits.
yeah, pay to play, and then your 10% when you win the bid.
Yeah. Shout out to Oscar's abs. Bought abs.
I swear they're airbrushed.
No, he said on Twitter that this is War Wednesday, so I'm gonna talk shit all over the place. So he said that they bought the damn thing.
They bought his abs.
Yeah, like they did some operation or some shit like that. That was on Twitter.
Oh, we're talking about currently abs, not like back in the day.
No,
he's got surgical implanted abs. Oh, come on! Don't say it's not so. Come on, man! Don't do that.
Did he say that on Twitter?
That's what I thought. No. They did a little bit of operation in it or something like that. And they said they did a good job on it. I'm just saying, man. War Wednesday, baby, bring it on.
It's a brave new world. Forget sit-ups, huh?
Yeah, no, but if you look at Oscar, listen, if you look at Oscar, he never had that when he fought everybody back in the days. Now you look at Oscar, I'm like, damn, this dude is doing a hell of sit-ups, like 1,000,000 sit-ups a day or something. I'm just saying, man.
Did he go to the same plastic surgeon that his girlfriend did? Because in that same clip that he was showing his abs, she was like something about because he was shadow boxing, and she was like, "Don't pop my titties" or something.
Oh, so maybe.
Wow. Okay. I wonder if the surgeon lives next door or something.
Right? Oh my god.
No, but no, I just saw it on Twitter somewhere that they did a good job on his abs or something. They were talking back and forth, so yeah, I mean, well, he's 50 something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 40, 50? I don't know.
He's around there. He's pushing 50. He's
48.
48. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah, he's 48, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it, man.
I don't know. I don't know about his abs. I didn't see that.
I don't think Eddie Hearn
on AK and Barack on the Zone.
Swift 718, did he admit that was actually just like they pulled out all the fat, so then of course and tied in the skin?
No, I think they might have I don't know, did something to make it look really cut or something like that, man.
Literally, you have those
I mean, underneath it, you got the abs.
So
if you're looking at that, then he should have had that when he was. No, but if you're looking at that, he should have had that when he was fighting back in the day. He doesn't have that kind of muscle.
Because he had a layer of fat on top of it. And
when you're fighting, making the weight on the weigh-ins?
He had loose skin.
Okay, loose skin. Okay.
Maybe he did M.
All right, Joe.
Maybe he did M sculpt.
No. This is a natural. I mean, they kind of did something. They even said on there that they did a good job.
But M sculpt does 20,000 sit-ups a day.
Supposedly, I did that and it hurts. Yeah, he said Oscar actually said he could give the doctor's name out.
Oh God. Okay, so apparently he did buy it.
Yeah, see, there you go. Only time I remember having abs was when he fought Whitaker. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Swift. He never had this kind of abs.
Okay, so we already know he bought it.
Yeah. So, Boom.
Okay, at least you didn't buy it at Walmart.
Oh
And it was like some
Yeah.
weird number. It
Oh,
was
no,
like
here,
3
good thing.
abs on this side and 8 on that side.
Oh
You're
no,
like,
no.
what the-
I think he bought it at Ross
Oh my
because he loved
Oh,
it.
not excellent.
You love it?
Not
I love it.
excellent.
Would it be
I'm
funny if
just
the
saying.
doctor's name is Dr. Ross?
Yeah, yes, exactly. You got joke. That's hilarious, man.
Oh. It's so random though. Like, why would you just out of nowhere, like, hey, I want to get my abs done?
I don't know.
It's weird. I don't know. I think it's weird.
Oh,
Freaking, you know,
man.
you 50 and trying to like get washboard abs by having plastic surgery. Like, okay.
Hey, whatever makes them happy. You know, Oscar has the if Oscar if mental health was a thing back in the days, Oscar would have made that excuse on numerous fight because we know Oscar has a lot of, you know, mental kind of thing when it comes down to a lot of things. At least from what I of course, this is just my personal opinion, you know.
I was waiting for you to say allegedly.
Yeah, just
or something.
allegedly, and I would say personal opinion.
Well,
you
my
know?
personal opinion is he needs to stay away from his girlfriend plastic surgeon because half the time these days I can't tell if he's laughing or crying with all the Botox. And he
Oh, you remember that one movie with Adam Sandler? The dude was like when he was laughing.
Smoke, do you remember that movie? Was it it was an Adam Sandler movie where the guy
Is that with Jennifer Aniston?
just go with it?
I don't know what it was, but the guy, when they said something and the guy was laughing and he had all this plastic surgery, but his face wasn't moving, but he's like laughing. He's like,
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it, but I can imagine.
oh, I crack myself up all the time.
But I have seen both. I have seen Oscar's face not move, and I don't know what emotion he's feeling. He seems to be coked out. I mean, he just seems to spend a lot of time in bed with his girlfriend. I'm just like, you know, shout out to him.
I just think he's been going to his plastic surgeon like way too often.
Yeah, once you start doing like Instagram live and stuff from the bed, like clearly like out of your mind on something, like you know, you just
you know what's
don't hit
unfortunate?
fans, bro. Don't hit
What's
fans.
unfortunate? That man was a great fighter. Everybody loved him. You know, have so much respect for him. I have still the biggest respect for him as a fighter. You know, but I mean, wrong choices. You know what I'm saying?
He's pretty polarizing just from the jump, though. I mean, great fighter and all that stuff. Fought everybody, total legend, all that stuff. But he was polarized. Like, I think anybody who comes in the boxing, even in the amateurs, you know, I hear a bunch of tales of like being a prima donna. But like as a pro, he was, you know, Golden Boys is not just his nickname, right? It was just the way he carried himself and the way it seemed like people treated him. He's like the original sort of Loma entitled guy, or maybe the next Ray Leonard. I don't know. Point being, like I think because like women liked him, that was an issue because he got so much, and you know he got things his way. There was some resentment, but when he fought Julio Cesar Chavez, that split the community between traditional and like new people and all that. Like he's just polarizing.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I completely agree. And I think, like, when he was fighting Manny, I remember that the girls in the crowd were like, Manny.
Right. Even the Filipinos were for Oscar.
Hit Oscar in the face.
Yeah.
Like,
I
they're
mean,
like, beat him, but don't hit him in the face. But I think, like, when that whole, like, fishnet thing came out, like, then they were questioning why he was called a golden boy because they were wondering if he was
Swift
taking
was saying,
golden showers,
you know,
or something.
It was golden girls, golden showers, all that. Anything
he said Oscar had a lot of personal demons back when he was fighting. And this is something that people don't understand, is that because as fighters, man, we train our asses off. Sometimes we don't have social life. Sometimes we don't have anything, and we battle all this stuff. And sometimes I think from one of the things, allegedly he was molested or some shit like that too, you know. And so you got to go grow up fucked up with all that kind of stuff going into your mind. Plus, you can't do nothing but focus on boxing because that's what you're supposed to do, you know. So I mean, that's why there's a lot of personal demons and a lot of fighters is because of the fact that, you know, and for me.
This is gonna go dark, and we probably have another 20 minutes, and then we got to hit the Top Rank Gym. But when you said that, like, I don't remember him saying that about being, you know, molested as a child. But we could talk about this on another live about how there are promoters that use their fighters as sex boys.
Oh yes, yes. There's a lot of that, from different places in countries and stuff like that, and you hear.
Please define sex boys. Like, are you talking about
They're not prostituting out their fighter, but they're sleeping. Like it's like the showbiz business. Like, oh, you want this
like
fight?
the casting couch?
Yes. Oh, I don't know if you can use. You have me on screen, but I was literally nodding my head.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean,
that happens in boxing too, and I think people think it doesn't happen because it's such a like a masculine sport. So there's no way.
Oh no, there's a lot of people that are that like that kind of stuff, and it's unfortunate because in third world countries it would most likely happen to fighters because they don't have the right and the means to survive for themselves.
Well, yeah, but even in Hollywood that happens.
Even in Hollywood,
like,
exactly.
You don't even have to go into a third world country. Like if
No,
it happens in Hollywood, it happens.
But I'm talking about
can happen
boxing and stuff like that. In Hollywood, it's in the US. Everybody's, that's like the thing. It's like you got to sell your soul to be on top of the game,
Same in boxing.
Yes, I know, but boxing in that way was because, I mean, it's a masculine sport and all of that stuff.
It seems like really anti-gay, right? It seems like if you proposition the dude the wrong way, you might not walk out with your life, right? They might be in jail for the rest. It doesn't seem like they really respond well to stuff like that. So this is kind of interesting. I never, I guess the underside of the sport.
Yeah. Big shout out to the big spider over there. He was always, talking about spiders. Hey, Carl.
My Australia phone hasn't rang yet.
Yes.
Just letting you know. You might want to call up Jason.
Call your brother.
It's Wednesday, 10:30.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good Australian. Okay.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Try it again.
I've been practicing,
Go.
Hey, Carl, you got to call your brother.
He's practicing in case.
Just in case I go to Australia, I'm like, yeah, that's the thing, shrimp on the bobby. Yeah, I'll say that too much, but I can say the brother, hey brother. I'm like, yeah, hey, what's his name? Jeff Fennick was like, how you doing, brother?
He's funny.
He's funny as shit, yeah. But yeah, man, there's a lot of shit going on like that. There you go. Yeah, there you go. You said that damn good accent right there. Yeah, there you go. I'm practicing, man. I'm practicing. I'm gonna be the crocodile hunter. I'll be like, hey,
oh God, why do I always have to be the thing?
Oh, look at her. She's such a beaut.
Leave my hair alone.
I'm just saying.
So anyway,
I
think that might be one of the ones that we need to have on War Wednesday.
War Wednesday there are about the bullshit of boxing that.
I mean, you hear it. Okay, I think like I get what Smoke's saying, and I said it too, that it's such a masculine sport, but like you see it at OTC, right? The athletes, there's athletes in Taekwondo that were taken advantage of, gymnasts, et cetera, and I understand because of the fact that it's a masculine sport, they don't think it happens, but it does a lot.
Well, hey.
Well, I mean, when I say masculine, I meant like really anti-gay and like violent. That's what I meant. I meant like it seems like they don't like gay people, and it's a violent sport. So it seems like you're taking your life in your own hands, like propositioning people like that. But
let me read this from Swift. So hold on. Thank you. Swift 718. I know a fighter approached by his promoter, a famous promoter that everyone here knows about going into porn. That crap was sus as hell. I mean, a manager came at me to do some controversial stuff, bang a porn star, to be controversial and stuff like that.
And by the way, this is before OnlyFans, so it's not like you would have gotten anything from that.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, but yeah, no, but that's crazy as hell. You know, wasn't Sylvester Stallone a porn star before he became
Yeah,
Sylvester
he was.
Stallone?
Yeah, that's why he got the name the Stallion.
There you go. I'm Stallion.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
never heard that.
you didn't know that?
I never heard that,
Oh,
man.
shut
Every single time,
up.
I guess I got to come up with something new for the next stream. No, I never heard that shit.
You did not
Whatever
know.
Bob orders and the Stallion. Okay.
So if I got to go back to Swift 718 on this one, I guess porn and boxing kind of go hand in hand.
Hey, you know what they say? Don't hook with a hooker.
There you go. And I'm the biggest hooker out there, baby. Oh man. Yeah, you can't hook with the hooker, man.
1970s, he was a porn star.
1970,
Mm-hmm.
he was a porn star.
Mhm.
But that's crazy, man. You know, but this is what I'm saying. Like fighters, you know, they go through a lot of shit, man, you know.
He had nude pictures and his infamous porn star scene.
There you go. That's crazy. It said those old actors all got their start in Hollywood by doing adult films. Al Pacino as well. Wow.
What? The hell?
Did he say hello to my little friend?
He probably didn't want to say it was little.
The commercial actor. He's doing commercials and stuff. You saying he's doing
Yeah, that's what he
What
said.
is going on?
Say hello to my little friend.
No.
Italian stallion. What's up?
Okay.
What's up?
The Italian
Cabo.
Stallion, that's what it was.
So what did he call Al Pacino?
Oh my no. They didn't think to call him Godfather.
He's the one that brought it up. You know?
It was called The Party at Kitty and Studs.
What's that?
Wow.
Is that the Italian Stallions movie?
He did the dirty for a buck. Huh?
Adrian!
Yeah, when he finally. This is not sex and boxing. We're going
I'm
down a
just
deep.
saying. Well, you're the one that brought up all this stuff about promoters and boxer, you know. So yes,
I
it's
don't
gonna
even
go
know
that
how
way.
it got there.
You brought it
I
up.
know I did, but I don't even know. Someone said something that triggered me to say, "Oh, don't."
Oh,
forget
they were
to-"
talking. Yeah. I don't know. It was, I don't know. Lady boys, sex boys, something before
Well,
that.
'cause we're talking about Oscar and the fishnet.
Oh, right. There it is.
Yeah, and it went that way.
There it is.
Oh man.
But yeah, there was but I think there's a bunch of just like weird stuff. Even with like the Ring Girls, there was a story. The guy, oh right, Ivan Redcatch's manager, right? The guy who's like blew up that fight. And
Yeah.
I'm going down like trying to figure out that. And, like, I also came across some really disturbing shit, like with him, the homie's daughter, and like trying to turn into a ring
Wait,
girl.
about Joe?
You guys and your research and investigation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a Google search. Why you guys are like, listen? It's like literally Google. Like that. It's not like I hired somebody.
Hold on, Smoke. Wait, so you're saying Joe, the one that
Yeah, Joe LaGuardia.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so he had this like sexual harassment lawsuit from one of his employees, and it turns out this woman was like one of his friend's daughters, and he's did some like I don't know, showed up and said like try to have some secret motorcycle like said like let's go on my motorcycle, it'll be our secret kind of shit, as in like don't tell your dad. And then like well she was working in some department and like marketing or something, and he tried to turn it into a ring girl, like he told her to change to a bikini. I don't know, it was this whole like article that I needed to fucking shower after. Like I was trying to figure out what's going on with Ivan Redcatch. And then every single time, like you do this thing, like, okay, let's see what's up with Joe LaGuardia. And then Ivan Redcatch manager. And then all this shit comes up. Like, oh, wait a minute. And then you get called the fucking, Woodward and Bernstein. I'm just trying to fucking.
Hey, but tomorrow, though, this is what we're going to be talking tomorrow night on Sex and Boxing. We're going to be talking about sex
and boxing
and all of this stuff.
Yeah, and I think we
porn boxers.
Well, not just that. Like, there was another thing that, like, see, now this is coming into like a weird circle because Mike Tyson just is getting hit with a lawsuit of something like a rape charge for $5 million of like back in like freaking crazy years ago. So I'll pull up that article that we want to talk about too. And we probably should just end this because you didn't freaking whatchamacallit pack yet.
I don't need to pack.
Yes, you do.
I'm already packed.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I mean,
Yeah, man.
would it be the hands job or hand jobs? Oh, sorry. Yeah, great stream, guys. Looking forward to
Great stream, guys.
Hey, you guys gotta come back
Yeah,
tomorrow.
tomorrow night at 7:00 Pacific
Unboxing.
time, sex unboxing, talking about all the stuff that we had today, that we talked about a little bit today.
That we randomly
that we
talked
just
about today.
and and again, Swift 718, thank you for always being out here and giving so much love to us, man, and to everybody out there, even the Spider King Carl, my brother, and Sheldon, thank you, brother, and to everybody out there, man. I want to keep going with this stuff because this is really amazing stuff, but love y'all, man. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Be true, be strong, and be happy, and be real.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Catch you guys tomorrow.
Love to you guys. All right,
7
Sheldon.
p.m. PST.
Peace, peace.
See y'all later. And be good.
I'm Jarrell. And I am Logan. Thank you for watching this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe the video. And hit the bell. Ding, ding, ding. KO! Jinx, got ya.
Benito the man. Filipino, flash, Filipino.